Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Tuesday, November the 16th. We do have a really short Tuesday slate. We just got a little three-gamer today, but as always guys, we're going to go game by game. We're going to talk through each one of these three games, break down each team, kind of give my early thoughts, what does stand out to me looking at this slate on Monday night. And then, as we go through each game, as we break down each team, we'll kind of build out an early core, five guys that do stand out to me at first look on both DraftKings and Yahoo. But yeah, guys, before we get started with the breakdown, as always, please do hit the like button down below, hit the subscribe button as well if you are new here. And if you have not yet, be sure to check out the sponsor of the video, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a new DFS site. I know most of you already, play on Prize Picks, but for those of you that have not tried them out yet and you would like to, again, they're a newer DFS site. They're more player prop based, but it's very simple. You just pick the over or the under on the projections that they have listed for the players. Now, right now, at the time I'm making this video, Monday night, they don't have anything posted yet for Tuesday's NBA games, but obviously, early Tuesday morning, they'll have some projections up. They have, point projection, rebound, assist, three-pointers made. They also have fantasy point projections for each player, and you can pick whether you think they go over or under their fantasy point projection. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 5 picks. You can win up to 10x your money over on Prize Picks. I've been able to have a lot of success on Prize Picks lately. I've been enjoying their format, playing over there, especially for NBA. I've been having a lot of success on Prize Picks for NBA. I talk about it in the streams and in my videos a lot. The easiest way to make money on Prize Picks is just kind of memorize the board, look at what's available, and know that know what you're going to do in a scenario where someone gets randomly ruled out. It was Friday night. Giannis got ruled out of nowhere. I went over to Prize Picks, took the over on Drew Holiday, took the over on Bobby Portis. Sadly, Bobby Portis didn't get there, but Drew easily got there. Those are ways you can easily make money because with NBA, guys get ruled out of nowhere. And if you're able to, react quickly, you can get over to Prize Picks, bet the overs on the players that benefit before they adjust the lines, and you can make some easy money that way. So check out Prize Picks, guys, if you have not yet. If you want to sign up, use code NOAH. They will match your first deposit, give you a free bet up to $100 when you do sign up with my code. Just type that in when you sign up or click the link in the description. But yeah, guys, let's take a look at Tuesday's little 3-game slate. Start off with the first game of the night, the Warriors and the Nets. This should be a really fun game. Should be a good game as well. Should be a high-scoring game too. Both these teams so far this year are top 10 in pace. Brooklyn's playing at the 10th fastest pace in the league. The Warriors are playing at the 5th fastest pace. So definitely a good spot here for a lot of these guys. And Steph Curry. On a 3-game slate, I think Steph Curry is going to look like a top stud option. He's the most expensive player overall on this slate, but for good reason. Curry's been an elite fantasy, guy this year, as we would expect. Continues to play a ton of minutes every night. Continues to dominate the usage on this Warriors team, taking a ton of shots every game. He's just shown massive upside this year. We know Curry is someone that can go out there and just break a slate. We saw that against Atlanta when he went for 88 DraftKings points. When Curry gets hot, man, he's literally the most unguardable player in the league. He can make shots from wherever, from the behind the 3-point line, around the rim, fucking from half court. I mean, the dude just doesn't miss. He's insane. He's so good. Curry, in my opinion, is probably the best stud option on this slate. But we do have KD, we have Harden, we have Paul George. There's obviously other guys you could pay up for, but I think in my opinion, Steph Curry looks like the top option. I like him a lot on both sites. 10-9 on DraftKings. On Yahoo, $50 over there. I think Curry looks like a really good play on both sides here. Then you have Andrew Wiggins at 6,500. I'm not a guy that really plays Andrew Wiggins that often. I haven't played him at all this season. On a 3-game slate, he is obviously viable just because we don't have a ton of options, to pick from. Our player pool is pretty, slim for the most part. He feels priced about right, though. These 40, 43-point games you've been getting from Wiggins lately, I don't think that's something we should really expect. Normally, Wiggins is going to score like 25, 30 DK points. He's rarely a guy that's going to put up a score that you kind of have to have. I don't really like that Wiggins that much, but obviously on a 3-gamer, he's playable. Draymond's definitely my second favorite play from Golden State. I do like Draymond quite a bit, especially on DraftKings where he is 6,400. This price tag on Draymond does feel way too low. I know he's kind of been underperforming lately. He's been disappointing in general. You look at the game log. I mean, it's not that pretty. Only 2 games over his last 10, over 40 DraftKings points. But we know Draymond's going to play, pretty big minutes. Lately, his minutes haven't been that high. But, some of these games have been blowouts. I think some of these games he may have been in foul trouble as well. We saw, about a couple weeks ago, like Draymond was playing 33, 34, 35 minutes a night. I think we should expect Draymond to play, mid-30s minutes here if this is a close game. they're going to need him out there. He's probably going to be the guy that guards Kevin Durant. So 6,400 for Draymond. We know he's someone that can do a little bit of everything. He can stuff the stat sheet, can score, can get some rebounds, get some assists. He can get defensive stats. At 6,400, that's just too cheap for Draymond, given he's a player that has triple-double upside on DraftKings, where you get the double-double bonus, you get the triple-double bonus. We've seen Draymond can go for 50 DraftKings points. He can get you a triple-double any night. He's too cheap on DK at 6,400. I do like him quite a bit. Then I think Jordan Poole at 5,900, more of a GPP play. Been really inconsistent this year, but we know a ceiling is there for Jordan Poole. He's another player that can get hot, that can put up a big game. He feels priced about right for what we can expect from him, but in tournaments, he's a fine option if you want to go there. And then the rest of the Warriors, the rest of these guys are just dart throws at best. Like, none of these bench guys you're going to feel great about. Some of these guys have upside if they get hot and they get the minutes. Like Damian Lee coming off the bench. We've seen some games where he plays like mid-20s minutes on a 3-game slate. He's a fine value. I don't mind him. Kevon Looney's going to start, probably play around 20 minutes. He's a fine value at 3,500, but I really just don't want to be going to many of these guys off the bench from Golden State. Like, these guys just don't have that much upside. You're going to need a lot to go right for them to really be players that you kind of have to have. On a 3-game slate, really anyone's playable that's going to get like 15, 20 minutes. But for me, the top plays from Golden State are Curry and Draymond, and then I think Wiggins is fine. I think Poole's fine too, but I really like Curry and Draymond here. Now on the Brooklyn side, for Brooklyn, for the most part, when it comes to this Brooklyn team, I try and just focus on Harden and Kevin Durant. But on this slate, we do need to talk about some of these other guys from Brooklyn, because we do have a pretty important injury news or important injury update about Joe Harris. Joe Harris has been ruled out for this game. Joe Harris is a starter, and he does play around 30 minutes a night, sometimes more. So him being out, is going to give more minutes to guys like Bruce Brown. Patty Mills, I assume, probably starts here. We maybe see DeAndre Bembry pick up a few more minutes. On a 3-game slate, these guys are going to be pretty solid options. But before we get to them, obviously, Harden and Kevin Durant are top plays here. You can't go wrong with either one of these guys on a short slate like this. Again, I do prefer Steph, I think, over Harden and over Kevin Durant. But Harden, we know what he's going to do when he's on the court. He's going to do everything. He's going to score, get rebounds, get assists. He's been inconsistent this year from what we've seen from Harden in the past. But the triple-double upside is still there. He obviously is someone that can, stuff the stat sheet. At 10-6, I think Harden is a very solid option. I think Kevin Durant's probably my preferred of the two Brooklyn guys. KD just been a lot more consistent this year than Harden. We know both these guys are going to play big minutes. KD's an elite scorer. I don't need to tell you to play Kevin Durant on a 3-game slate. I think you should know that. So, yeah, Kevin Durant, James Harden, obviously really good plays here. Again, I prefer Steph, but if you're playing a lot of lineups, you are going to want to have exposure to Harden and to KD. If I'm just playing like one lineup, though, I think Steph would be the stud I would be prioritizing. But then the other Brooklyn guys, so like LaMarcus Aldridge at 4,800. Look, LaMarcus Aldridge, he's been playing really well lately. He's got at least 33 DK points in 3 of his last 4 games, but like he's just been doing it on just such, I feel like it's just fluky in my opinion. He's been playing like 22 minutes. I don't expect LaMarcus Aldridge to average like 1.4 fantasy points per minute like he has been lately. I think at best he's like a fantasy point per minute player. If he's only going to play like 18, 20 minutes, maybe 22 minutes, I'm not going to play LaMarcus Aldridge at 4,800 if he's playing 22 minutes a night. Now, if he goes out there and puts up 35 DraftKings points in 22 minutes, I'll just take my L and I'll move on to the next slate. But I'm fine avoiding LaMarcus Aldridge at his price point, especially given that he's not really playing that many minutes. He's just kind of really been producing over his head, it feels like. But Bruce Brown, I think, is a solid value. I think Patty Mills is a solid value as well. Both these guys, I expect, play probably 30 minutes, if not more, with Joe Harris out. Bruce Brown already has been starting and getting close to 30 minutes. I think his minutes will be way more secure without Joe Harris. I think they're going to need him out there to guard Steph. He's one of their better defenders, Bruce Brown is. He's probably going to be out there, chasing Steph around the whole night. So for 4,200, I think Bruce Brown on a 3-game slate looks like a decent value. And Patty Mills, I think, is probably one of the better value plays overall. Just 3,800 on DraftKings, really cheap. Also really cheap on Yahoo, $12 over there. I am expecting Patty Mills to start in place of Joe Harris. We will need to keep an eye on the Brooklyn starting lineup because that's not official. That's just assumption. But Patty Mills so far this year with Brooklyn, he's been a key piece of their rotation. He's been consistently playing 22 to 25 minutes a night off the bench. Now Patty Mills is a very his scoring is very fluctuant. Some nights he's going to put up big games. He's going to get hot, and he's going to go for 28 DK points, 38 DK points last game. But if he's not making his shots like we saw against Orlando, like we saw against Chicago, if he shoots 20, 30% from the field, you can definitely get 10, 15 DraftKings points from Patty Mills. But I do expect there to be a lot of opportunity available without Harris. I expect there to be a lot more minutes available for Patty Mills at 3,800. If he plays 30 minutes, which I think is what most people are probably going to project him for, he's going to project as a really good, point per dollar value play. And since we do have some really good stud options to pay up for on this slate, I want to try and find a way to get at least one of these guys in, if not like two of, Curry or KD or Harden. So Patty Mills at 3,800, I think is a really good value, assuming he starts for Joe Harris. Blake Griffin at 4K. I mean, I haven't played Blake Griffin at all this season. Blake Griffin's going to play 24 to 25 minutes. Sure, at 4K, I think he's fine. I don't love the spot here against Golden State, but I think Blake Griffin's a fine option if you want to go there. I think he's at least playable. And then DeAndre Bembry, he should maybe pick up a few more minutes without Joe Harris. He's 3,200. Just a dart throw at best, but if you want a cheap option that's going to be really low owned that at least has potential to do well, I think Bembry's playable. But for the most part, from Brooklyn, Harden and KD are obviously really good plays here. And then I think Bruce Brown's a solid value. I think Patty Mills is a good value, assuming he starts for Joe Harris. And then Blake Griffin's playable, in my opinion. And DeAndre Bembry is like a dart throw in GPPs. I don't hate either. But that's it for this game. We can move on to the next one, talk about the Sixers and the Jazz. So looking at the Sixers today, they continue to be very shorthanded. No Joel Embiid, no Ben Simmons. Danny Green's going to be out for this game as well. Matisse Thybulle remains out. Grant Riller remains out. So we should expect Tobias Harris to dominate the usage for the Sixers team. He's going to continue to do that while Embiid and Simmons are out. And since Tobias Harris has come back from COVID, we've seen him play big minutes, 37 and 35 minutes, 38 and 51 DraftKings points. 8,500, he feels priced correctly, especially for a tougher matchup against the Jazz. I don't think Harris really stands out as like a top play on DraftKings, but the upside is obviously there. The opportunity is going to be there. The usage is going to be there without Simmons and Embiid. So I think Tobias Harris is playable. I do like him a lot more on Yahoo, though. Tobias Harris is way too cheap on Yahoo, $31 at power forward. He is definitely my favorite power forward play overall today. You look at the pricing, he's only $3 more than Draymond Green. On DraftKings, I would rather play Draymond Green because Draymond Green is, $2,000 cheaper. On Yahoo, they're pretty similarly priced. Just give me Tobias Harris on Yahoo. So I do like him a lot over there. On DraftKings, I think he's playable, but obviously doesn't stand out, as good of an option. And then Andre Drummond, he was dominating for those few games when Embiid was out, but kind of these last few games, we've seen Drummond kind of not be great. 8,700 is still pretty expensive for Drummond, especially after two back-to-back bad games. Now he has to face off against Rudy Gobert, a matchup that I don't think is really that great for Drummond. Look, Drummond's a really productive player when he's on the floor. He's probably going to get you a double-double here, but what is his upside? Can he go out there and put up 50 DraftKings points? I mean, I guess he can, but I would say it's kind of unlikely against Rudy Gobert. At 8,700, I think Drummond's priced high enough on this slate where he really doesn't stand out as a priority play for me. I would rather be getting up to the studs like Curry and Harden and KD over someone like Drummond. On Yahoo, I think you could play Drummond there. He's $37. Him and Gobert are similarly priced. If you're going to pay up at center, Drummond's obviously fine, but not a priority play for me. Maxey is 7,200. His price at this point has gotten to, it's gotten to a point where I don't really have that much interest in Maxey. Maxey is going to play massive minutes, and we've seen that. He's played at least 39 minutes in 6 straight games. Like, they're going to run Maxey into the ground, it seems like. But 7,200 against the Jazz here, like, this just doesn't seem like a spot where I really want to be paying nearly $7K for Tyrese Maxey. So I'm kind of off of him. Seth Curry at 5,400. I think Seth Curry's fine on a short slate like this. He's very score independent. You're going to need him to get hot, to knock down some shots. But, without Danny Green, maybe there's going to be more minutes available for these guys. Danny Green's a really, really low usage player. So him being out, I don't think it's going to affect, these guys' or their role that much. I think it's just going to, solidify them for bigger minutes. So we probably get like 36 minutes from Seth Curry at 5,400. I don't mind him. I think he's in play on this slate. Shake Milton at 5K, not that interested in, especially now that, Tobias Harris is back. That's just going to take away usage from these guys that we've been playing. We'll have to keep an eye on the starting lineup. I assume Court Moss will start in place of Danny Green, but if they do decide to start Shake, if they do decide to start Shake, then I think at 5K, Shake would be a much better option. But I'm assuming Court Moss starts in place of Danny Green. Court Moss himself at 4,600. He's an okay value play. He feels priced correctly, though, for what you can expect from him. He's a really, really scoring-dependent player. He doesn't really get many rebounds. He barely gets any assists. You're going to need him to knock down 5, 6, 7 three-pointers. We know he can do that, though. He is a pretty good three-point shooter. His minutes should be a little bit more secure without Danny Green. I think it is pretty likely he starts and plays around 25 to 30 minutes. He feels priced correctly at 4,600, but if you do need a value play, at shooting guard, small forward below 5K, I think Korkmaz is viable. I think Georges Niang is a dart throw. His minutes should be, it should go up a little bit without Green. He probably plays like 25, 26 minutes at 4,100 in a revenge game against his former team. I think Georges Niang is fine as a lower owned dart throw. But that's probably it from Philly. For the most part, this team doesn't stand out too much. When you look at their pricing, I think everyone on DraftKings feels priced correctly from the Sixers. There's really no glaring values from this team. But there are guys, that have upside like Tobias Harris, like Andre Drummond, even Curry at his price. But no standout plays from Philly outside of Tobias Harris at his Yahoo price. That's what we'll say. But on the Utah side, Utah's a team, man, that I just got. I hate rostering these Utah guys. I'm pretty sure, I think we've had 3, maybe 4 3-game slates this year. I'm pretty sure Utah has been on every 3-game slate this season, or at least it seems like they have. They're once again on this 3-game slate. Donovan Mitchell, most expensive option from the Jazz, 8,600. Very similar to Tobias Harris, in my opinion. Donovan Mitchell, Tobias Harris, both these guys have a lot of upside, but on this slate, I don't think they're going to stand out as guys I'm trying to jam in, guys I'm trying to prioritize. If I'm playing a lot of lineups and I have a lineup that has Donovan Mitchell in it, I'm obviously not going to be mad about that. But I don't think if I'm building one lineup tonight that I'm going to be starting with Donovan Mitchell. He's a fine option, but doesn't stand out as a priority play on this slate where he's priced at. Rudy Gobert, 7,700, I think is a pretty good center option. I do like the matchup for him against Andre Drummond. Drummond's just not that good of a defender. He's not a guy that's really going to, stop you on the defensive end. Gobert is $1,000 cheaper than Drummond as well. If I'm going to pay up at center, I probably would just take the savings and play Gobert over Drummond. They're similarly priced on Yahoo. I think it's a little bit closer there, but on DraftKings, I do like Gobert at 7,700, just given, the center position's not the best on this slate. I think Gobert makes some sense. Mike Conley at 6,200. He's a fine mid-range option at guard. I mean, Conley, you never know what you're going to get from him when Mitchell's healthy, when the whole team's healthy. I really only play Conley whenever Mitchell's out or Clarkson's out. So here, he's probably going to play 30, 32 minutes. Most nights he's going to give you around 30 DraftKings points. Some nights you'll get those games where Conley shoots the ball well or he gets double-digit assists. Another guy that doesn't really stand out as a top play, but definitely viable. And then I think we can say the same about, Bojan Bogdanovic, Jordan Clarkson, Royce O'Neal. None of these guys really stand out at their price tags. None of them are glaring values to me. But these guys have upside, especially a Jordan Clarkson. He's just someone that can really get hot off the bench. He's a guy that when he does get hot, he's just going to keep on shooting. These are the kind of guys that you can definitely play on 3-game slates. I would say most nights, Jordan Clarkson's not going to really do that well for his price tag. But when you do get him right, when you do play him on the night that he gets hot, like he did last game against Miami, you can get 37, 40 DraftKings points from him. And if he does that on tonight's slate, he's probably going to be someone that you have to have. So definitely worth a sprinkle in GPPs. Royce O'Neal is a okay value. I mean, I think, again, every 3-game slate this year the Jazz have been on, and I've said, Royce O'Neal is someone I never play on a full slate. But it seems on these 3-gamers, every time the Jazz are playing on these 3-game slates, Royce O'Neal is someone you kind of have to consider just because he's 4,400. He's going to play 30 to 35 minutes. The value tonight for this 3-gamer is not the best. I mean, there's some cheap plays from Brooklyn that you could go to, but overall, there's really no standout value. So Royce O'Neal at 4,400, just banking on the minutes. He's not a really productive player. He's not going to do much when he's on the floor, but you could always get lucky. He knocks down a couple threes. Some rebounds come his way. He's a better version of PJ Tucker. 4,400 for Royce O'Neal, I think, is a decent value if you need it. And then the rest of the Jazz, I'm kind of just not that high on. I will say that Hassan Whiteside, one of these guys that can break a slate. He's not going to play a ton of minutes. He's really just going to back up Rudy Gobert. So if Rudy Gobert plays 35 minutes, that probably means Whiteside's only playing 13 minutes. But we know things could go weary. Things could go sideways. Rudy Gobert could get into foul trouble. He could get injured. If any of that stuff happens, if Gobert gets in early foul trouble, Whiteside is obviously going to be the guy that benefits. He's going to play more minutes, and Whiteside is a super productive player when he's on the floor. If you do get him right if you guess right on when Rudy Gobert gets in foul trouble or gets injured or something, don't want that to happen. But if you do get that right and you're on Whiteside those days, especially on a 3-game slate like this, that could be a play that kind of wins you the slate. So Whiteside on a 3-gamer I think is okay. Again, don't have much confidence in him, but if you do play him, you're just kind of hoping that Rudy Gobert like gets in foul trouble, or that, you know, if Whiteside plays his normal like 14, 15 minutes, he just goes really, really ham in those 15 minutes, which he obviously could. But that's really it from the Philly-Utah game. So we'll move on to the last game of the night, the Spurs and the Clippers. So looking at San Antonio here, Dejounte Murray you have at 9,500. You know, Dejounte Murray has been incredible this season. He's been probably one of the most improved players in the league, shown a ton of upside, put up a massive triple-double last game against the Lakers, played 38 minutes, had 61 DraftKings points. Like, he's been a fantasy stud this season. He's been worth the $9K, $9,500 price tag. Now, on this slate, is Dejounte Murray someone I'm going to be jamming in? Probably not. I'd rather play up for Harden, KD, Curry, Paul George. Like, I'd rather get those guys in. But I think Dejounte Murray is definitely in play. We've seen the massive upside that he has. We know he's going to play big minutes. He's going to be the guy that really, you know, dominates the usage on the Spurs team. So I think Dejounte Murray is obviously playable. Keldon Johnson at 6K. Like, I rarely play Keldon Johnson. You know, he's not really a guy that has massive upside. Most nights he's going to score like 30 to 35 DK points. At 6K, he feels priced correctly for what you can expect from him. But he's definitely playable on a short slate like this. I think Derek White might be one of my favorite plays from San Antonio. 5,400 does feel a little bit too cheap for Derek White. And on Yahoo, I do like him a bit over there. Shooting guard, $20. I think he's, you know, one of the better shooting guard options along with Patty Mills, who you can go to for value. But I definitely like Derek White here. I think the price tag, 5,400, is just probably a little bit too low. I think Derek White is a guy that should be priced around the 6K range, if not above 6K, because he's always going to get the minutes. He's always going to get opportunity. He's going to play 33, 34 minutes a night. I know he's kind of been inconsistent lately if you just look at the game log, but he's, you know, close to a fantasy point per minute player. He's going to play again around like 30 to 32 minutes at 5,400. And you look at like the guards priced around him, like the guys in that price range, like the other guards you have in that price range are like, you know, Jordan Clarkson, Seth Curry, Eric Bledsoe, Shake Milton. Like, I think I'd take Derek White over most of those guys, if not like all those guys. I think at 5,400, he is a little bit too cheap, especially for a 3-game slate like this where we don't really have a ton of standout plays. I definitely like Derek White at his price tag. And I think Thaddeus Young at 5,300 looks pretty good as well. I've kind of been off of Thaddeus Young lately just because his price has been up. But now, again, we have a 3-game slate. We don't have a ton of options to consider. I think Thaddeus Young looks like a pretty good play. I like him on Yahoo too at $20 over there. He's going to continue to, you know, be the backup center behind Drew Eubanks. He's going to continue to get, you know, 22 to 25, 26 minutes a night while Jakob Poeltl's out. Really, ever since Jakob Poeltl, you know, went out, we've seen the role for Thaddeus Young be pretty consistent. 22, 26, 25, 24, 24, and 26 minutes, and the production's been there as well. At least 27 DraftKings points in 5 of his last 6 games. Thaddeus Young has scored at least 27 DK points. He's going to be a guy that produces around a fantasy point per minute. Thaddeus Young is a pretty productive player when he's on the floor. He's not a guy that's going to, you know, just stand in the corner. He's going to be around the basket, grabbing rebounds. He can get assists. He'll get putbacks. I like him at 5,300, power forward and center eligible on DraftKings. I think he's a pretty good play on this little short slate. And then, like, Drew Eubanks, if you wanted to go there, I think he's fine as well. You know, for the most part, him and Thaddeus Young are just going to split the center minutes. You probably do get a pretty even split between the two. 24 going to Eubanks, 24 going to Thad Young. You know, Eubanks is a little bit cheaper, but he's not nearly as good of a producer as Thaddeus Young is. So I think if I had to choose one of the two Spurs bigs, I probably would go with Thad Young over Eubanks. But Eubanks is definitely playable. We've seen him show some upside. You know, even if he only plays like 24 minutes, he can put up a good enough score to pay off this $4,400 salary. So if you need a cheap center, I think Eubanks is fine. But then like Devin Vassell, Lonnie Walker, these guys are just like dart throws. Devin Vassell's probably going to get like 25 to 30 minutes. He's not really that great of a producer. I know lately he's kind of been producing well, 27, 29, 32 DK points his last 3 games. But for the most part, he's not going to be a guy that averages like a fantasy point per minute. I think he will come in under that just rest of season. For 4,700, his price feels about right. On a 3-game slate, he is definitely playable, but you know, not a ton of confidence in Devin Vassell. Same with Lonnie Walker. He's going to get, you know, probably 20 to 25 minutes off the bench. He's 3,700. If you need someone in GPPs to go to, you know, for cheap, he's playable, but no confidence there. That's probably it from this Spurs team, I think. So we can talk about the Clippers real quick before we do end the video. So look at the Clippers. Paul George, 10,200. I think is a really good pay-up option. I probably would put him behind KD, Harden, and Curry. I think I do prefer those guys, you know, in the early game over someone like Paul George. But Paul George, you know, it's not denying how great he's been this year. playing a ton of minutes, getting a ton of usage, getting a ton of opportunity with Kawhi Leonard still out. I mean, I can't say anything negative about Paul George. It's just, when it comes to these stud options, you can't just play everyone. I feel like I need to take a stand. I probably would put Paul George 4th in terms of rankings for the studs. I think I'd go Steph Curry number 1, KD number 2, Harden number 3, and then Paul George 4th. But you can't go wrong with any of these 10K and up guys because all of them have a ton of upside. All of them are going to play big minutes. They all have, like I said, a lot of upside. They're going to get a lot of usage. Paul George is obviously a good play on, this short slate. But the rest of the Clippers, none of these guys I'm that confident in, but there's definitely some playable options here. The Clippers have been running a pretty tight rotation this season, so you're going to get pretty big minutes from Reggie Jackson. Eric Bledsoe's been playing big minutes lately. Reggie Jackson's going to get like 34 to 36 minutes. He's a pretty scoring-dependent player. He's a guy that I really don't like rostering that much, but when he is knocking down shots, you can get 35, 40 DK points from Reggie Jackson. I think he feels priced correctly for today's slate, but still playable. Eric Bledsoe, I think I like a little bit better just because he's cheaper, and he's been playing really well lately. We saw Bledsoe kind of go through a stretch where he really wasn't getting a ton of minutes. He wasn't producing that well either. But the last 4 games, he's put up at least 31 DK points in 4 straight games. He's played at least 26 minutes in all those games. And the one game where he played 26 minutes, that was a massive blowout. He didn't play at all in the 4th quarter, so he would have played more minutes in that game had it been close. I don't know if this continues. I don't know if Bledsoe continues to play this well, continues to get these big minutes. But while they are giving him big minutes like this, I think at 5,200, Bledsoe is a really good option today. Probably my favorite play from the Clippers. I think him and Derek White are 2 really good mid-range options at the guard position. Definitely like Bledsoe here. Nicholas Batum at 5K, going to get like 30 minutes. He's never really been a great producer, but we've seen Nicholas Batum be able to put up good enough scores to where he can be worth his 5K price point. I don't think he stands out as a great play today, but definitely viable on a short slate like this. And then Zubac, I think if you are paying down at center, Zubac is definitely viable as well. His minutes have been a lot more secure lately. We've seen Zubac play at least 23 minutes in like 6 or 7 straight games. Some of these games he's been playing bigger minutes as well. They're going to need him out there. I mean, this Spurs team, they're going to put either one of Drew Eubanks or Thaddeus Young on the floor for basically all 48 minutes. They're going to have one of those guys on the floor at all times. So I do expect Zubac to get at least like 24, 25 minutes, potentially more. We know Zubac, can be relatively productive when he is on the court, can score, can get rebounds, can block shots. He can get you a double-double. If you're going cheap at center, him and Drew Eubanks I think are both fine value plays. And then the rest of the Clippers, I don't have a ton of interest in, many of these bench guys. They're kind of just dart throws. We will need to keep an eye on the status of Terrence Mann, though. This is actually a pretty important injury because Terrence Mann does play a good amount of minutes. He plays around 30 minutes a night off the bench. If he were to get ruled out, I think that would definitely solidify big minutes for Eric Bledsoe. I would obviously like Bledsoe even more if Mann were out. And I think Luke Kennard would get some additional run. I don't have a ton of interest in Luke Kennard if Mann plays, but if Mann is out, I think we do get probably 30, 32 minutes from Luke Kennard, and at 4K, if we can project him to play around 30 minutes, I think he is going to project as a pretty good value play. He's another one of these guys I don't really like playing just because he is kind of scoring dependent. But if the minutes are to be there with Mann out, if Mann were to get ruled out, then Kennard would be a pretty solid value, and maybe you would get some more minutes for someone else off the bench. Like, again, they've been running a really tight rotation. Basically, they've been playing their starters, and then Mann, Kennard, Hartenstein have kind of been like the only guys getting minutes off the bench. You've seen Justice Winslow get some minutes from time, from here and there. Like last game, he played 21 minutes, but that was a blowout, I do believe. Maybe Justice Winslow would pick up more minutes if Mann were to be out. He could be a viable dart throw at 3K, but don't have a ton of confidence in him. Luke Kennard would be one of the bigger beneficiaries, I would say, if Mann sits. And then, obviously, Bledsoe, I would feel really good about Bledsoe if Mann were to be out as well. But that's it for this Clippers team, guys, and that's it for these 3 games tonight. So I hope you did enjoy this little game-by-game breakdown. Hopefully this video helped you. If you enjoyed, guys, please do hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button as well. And again, check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. If you have not signed up for PrizePicks yet, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, just use promo code NOAH. They will match your first deposit, give you a free bet up to $100 when you do sign up with my code. Or just click the link in the description. That'll take you straight to the PrizePicks site, and you can sign up there. But yeah, guys, good luck tonight. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you did enjoy. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.